Welcome back, everyone. I'm Kaushik here, and today we are diving into something super exciting, creating a Razor Pages CRUD application in just 90 minutes. So, whether you are new to coding or looking to sharpen your skills, this video is packed with everything you need to know step by step, and that too within 90 minutes. You will learn everything about CRUD application, including pagination, search, sort, and filtering. But before we jump in, let me tell you why this is so powerful. Now, mastering CRUD operation is a fundamental skills that opens up doors to endless possibilities in development of a web. By the end of this session, you will not only understand the concepts but also have a working application to show for it. Stick around because I've got some insider tips and tricks that you won't be able to find it in textbooks or other tutorials. Plus, there is a special bonus at the end. I'll be sharing the full source code of this project on my GitHub, absolutely free. This way, you can follow along, tinker with the code, and take your project to the next level. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So, are you ready to elevate your coding game? Let's get started and make something amazing together. So let's switch over to the actual course. Hello and welcome everyone. In this section, we will build a Razor Pages CRUD web app, and in the first part, we'll create a new ASP.NET Core project. And so let's flip over to Visual Studio 2022 and start coding. So this is my Microsoft Visual Studio 2022, and we'll create a new project. And this will be ASP.NET Core Web App Razor Pages project, and click on Next. So Web Application 1. So now I have come to the Configure Your New Project, and I have given the project name Razor Product App, and I have put a suitable location for my project to reside, and the solution name is the same as Razor Product App. Here, you remember that you can always change, you have the flexibility of changing the solution name to differ from the project name, but I choose it to be the same with the project name. And then click on Next. And on this additional information page, I've got this .NET 8 long-term support. I've got the option of either selecting 6, 7 or 8, but 8 is the latest and the most advanced with the most additional features, and I will configure it for HTTPS. I don't need to enable Docker, and do not use top level statement. I'm keeping unchecked because it will use the top level statement, which is the current best practice. So click on Create. So it has created a new Razor product app, which is a Razor Pages application. So let's start with the exploring the project structure for this Razor Pages web application. So I will start with appsettings.json file. So this is the appsettings.json file. Now this file will ultimately store the configuration settings for our application, such as the database connection string when we have actually created the connection string. So don't worry, we'll do it ultimately. And the API keys if there are any, and other application settings. It allows you to easily manage your application's configuration without hard coding values in your code. Next in importance is the launch settings.json. Actually, this is all of these files are important. So there is no particular way that I could actually categorize that this is more important or not, but we have to cover all of them, the important files. So that's how I am started. Now this file, launch settings.json file, is used to configure how your application launches in different environments, such as these are the development environments by default, and also you could configure it for staging and production. It defines profiles for debugging and hosting your application. Okay, profiles, HTTPS, IIA for IIS, Express, etc., etc. And it includes setting like the port number, environment variable, and launch URL. So launch URL, application URL, application URL or launch URL, and the port number, SSL port, and then here also application URL and the port numbers. These are the port numbers again. So, and there is the shared layout.cshtml file. Now this file is in the shared folder, okay, and it is a master layout page that defines the common layout structure for your application. It typically includes elements such as HTML and head section and section on navigation menu and footer. Okay, navigation menu is here. This is all the navigation menu, and this is the footer. Any Razor pages that use this layout, that is the layout.cshtml, will inherit its structure and content. And then we come to this validation script.partial, validation scripts partial.cshtml file. This is another important file, and this partial view, this is a partial view. It contains the JavaScript code for client-side validation using the jQuery unobtrusive validation. It's automatically included in pages that use validation helpers like validation summary and validation message. And then we come to the view imports file. You can see at using Razor product app, which is the name of the application or the project, and for the namespace Razor product app.pages, it will automatically import. So this file allows you to import namespaces and define global directives that apply to all Razor pages in your application. It's commonly used to import common namespaces like Microsoft .ASP Netcore .mvc .razor pages, and like Microsoft .ASP Netcore .mvc .tag helpers, as well as custom namespaces for your project. And then we have got this view start. So view start file is used to specify layout and view execution settings that apply to all Razor pages in a directory and its subdirectories. It is often used to set the default layout for pages within a specific folder or to configure global settings like page model type. And then this www root, this has got a CSS folder and a JavaScript folder and a library folder. It's all the CSS will stay over here, and so are the JavaScript files over here. And this library folder has got several subfolders like Bootstrap, jQuery, jQuery validation, unobtrusive. So understanding the purpose of these key files in your Razor Pages ASP.NET Core project is essential for building and maintaining a successful application. From managing configuration setting to defining layout structure and view execution settings, these files play a crucial role in the development process. Hello and welcome again. So in the previous lecture, in part 1, we have built a Razor Pages CRUD, a Razor Pages web app, and I've explained a bit of the project structure, and in this lecture we will add a product model class. So let's again flip over to Visual Studio. So on this Visual Studio, this is a product app that we have built. We'll add a new folder and name it models. Add a class to it, and this will be our product class with capital P. So automatically it takes the namespace Razor product app, which is the project name, .models folder, and public class product. And in this product class, I'll build a few properties like ID. Of course, it has come ID, string name, string manufacturer, and double price. So this IntelliSense has already suggested me something which was in my mind. So I have just clicked tab, and because I'm using GitHub Copilot also, and I'll accept by hitting the tab, this is already built for me. Public int ID, string name, and string manufacturer, and price is a double or a float. All right. So this will be our product model, which will be used subsequently to create the product DB context class, and that's about it for this lecture. In my previous lecture on creating the model, product model, I have shown you that I have used GitHub Copilot for auto completion of my code. So I've shown you, if you look into the earlier lecture on model creation, it has suggested me some code for completing the product class, and I have just tabbed to actually accept that code. So what is this thing about GitHub Copilot? So if you have not heard about GitHub Copilot, this is your GitHub Copilot page. Okay, so I'm on a trial account, and how do you have access to this? So once you click on the profile photograph on your profile picture, it is your Copilot will be there, and if you click on your Copilot, this is where it gets. I have already filled the necessary information to activate my trial period, which is 1 month, which is nearing end, but I'll obviously extend the I will go for a paid version. So it is so useful. Now, what is this GitHub Copilot? Just a quick chat about the GitHub Copilot. It's an AI-powered code completion tool developed by GitHub in collaboration with OpenAI. It uses machine learning models trained on a vast amount of code from open source repositories to provide suggestions and auto-completions while developers write code. And it aims to assist developers by suggesting entire lines or blocks of code based on context of what they are typing. It can help speed up development, reduce boilerplate code, and offer insights into best practices and patterns. Now, Copilot is integrated directly into code editors like Visual Studio Code as well as Visual Studio, and I have integrated it with my Visual Studio 2022 environment, and let me show you how I have done it. So if I click on this application and then click on the extensions, manage extensions, and since I have already installed this is the GitHub Copilot completions. I have the choice of disabling it or uninstalling it, but I will go with the ability to be able to complete the code blocks with GitHub tool. So you can always search for the GitHub Copilot and you can easily install it. So that's the thing about GitHub Copilot. And so quickly, if you'd like to write a small function, you can easily do it by, say, for example, let me create anywhere. I can write the code in let's go for a CS file, that is a product class. Okay, just double front slash, it's just like a comment. So that's one of the easiest part. So just I have prompted it to write how to create a sum of two integers in a method. So public int add int a int b. Okay, so that's about it. And this quickly lining is because I have not put this add method within the class, because it will accept any code or any method within a class, and it was outside the class. Class is already finished now. It has, the squiggly line is gone, and this is one of the easiest functions that is auto completed by the, but this is just a demo. This is auto completed by the GitHub Copilot, and you can write many more complex things. You start writing something and it will give you auto completion, and it is for up to your skill level to accept it, reject it, or just accept and then edit it. So that's everything about GitHub Copilot in a nutshell. Welcome once again. In this lecture today, we will be taking our Razor Pages CRUD app, product CRUD app, a bit further, and we'll create a database context class for products. So let's flip over to Visual Studio now. So I've got this product class already made, and then let me get rid of this comment when I was showing you GitHub Copilot. Okay, so I'll create a data folder, a new folder, add new folder, call it data. So add a class, name it product DB context. All right. It derives from, it is supposed to extend the DB context class. However, this there is a quick actions, because there is a this line error. So it is asking me to install package entity framework, install with package manager. So entity framework is not there. Now let me get the entity framework from the NuGet package manager. So it has come up with this Microsoft.entity framework core, latest table 8.0.5, and let me click on install button. It will install. Click on accept. So this is installed. This is the NuGet package manager Microsoft.entity framework core. This package is essential for including entity framework core for generating databases in your project. So back to product DB context class, and it is still not happy. Let's see what is the cause. So you have to bring it in the library in your code behind file. Right. Now this is the beauty of GitHub Copilot. When I have created this product DB context and it derives from, it's a children of DB context class, it automatically writes the constructor, requisite constructor for me, and also it creates a public DB set of product. Now all I have to do is to include this models folder, and everything is all right. However, at the moment when you perform a migration, it will create a table with the name products. But if you wish to create a table with any other name from this product model, then all you have to do is start writing on model creating. Now here in this code, I would actually want the migration to create a database with a products table, and I want to do it explicitly so that there is no room for error. So for that I need to install 2 more NuGet packages. So right click on the Razor product app, and manage NuGet packages again, and then I'll have to look for these two. SQL Server, install this, and also Microsoft.Entity Framework Core.Tools. Install this also. I accept. Now if you look on the installed tab, all of these three related to Entity Framework Core are already installed. Now let's close this window and come to this. Now everything is fine, so that squiggly line is gone. Now what does this line of code represent here? So in Entity Framework Core, the DB set on T entity type, it represents a collection of entities of type T entity in the database. So in this given code snippet, public is of course the accessibility of the property. That means it can be accessed from outside the class, and DB set of product, this indicates that the property products represents a collection of entities of type product, and products is the name of this property. And in summary, and this is a getter and setter for any public property. The products property in the product DB context class represents a collection of product entities in the associated database. It allows querying, inserting, updating, and deleting product entities through Entity Framework Core. So this part of the product DB context, this on model creating by putting an argument of the model builder type, it allows you to create a table with the name products. So if you like the table to be named as just product, so just include product instead of products. But I want, because it's a products table, so it should be named properly as products. Okay, so that marks the end of this class. Thank you very much. Now after creating the product DB context, we need to add the product DB context class that we have created in the previous lecture in the services collection in the program class before we can carry out any migration. So again, back to our Visual Studio, and in here I have to register, like we have by default the add register pages have been added to this services collection. So I have to create the product DB context that was created earlier. I have to add it to the add DB context method. So let's start writing. Right, so again I am taking the help of GitHub Copilot. So all I had to write was to write the comment, add the product DB context service, and it has written it for me, the entire code, and all I have to do is to add on the data file, data folder, and as SQL Server. Here something is also missing, so I'll have to use a Microsoft.Entity Framework Core. I have to need to bring it on top with the user statement. Now let's try and understand this part of the code that was added to add the product DB context service to the service collection class. Now builder.services, this accesses the iService collection interface, which is a collection of service descriptors. Services are components in ASP.NET Core that provide specific functionality such as database access, logging, or authentication. Then comes this part, add DB context, and it takes product DB context and it creates a lambda expression like this. Option goes to options.useSQL builder.configuration.getConnectionString product DB context. So this registers the product DB context as a service with the DI or dependency injection container. And let's break down this method call. So add DB context on product DB context. This specifies the type of database context. In this case, it is a product DB context to be added to the DI container. And this part, this entire line of code, this configures the database provider and connection string for the database context. Here it specifies the SQL server. That SQL server will be used as the database provider, and the connection string is retrieved from the application's configuration using the key product DB context. So in summary, the add DB context method registers the product DB context with the DI container, configures it to use SQL server as the database provider, and specifies the connection string with the key product DB context. So in this lecture, we shall create the connection string in the app settings.json file. So let's flip over to Visual Studio once again. Now here, if you look into program.cs, if you recall, so our connection string was with a key. It was registered as product DB context. So we'll have to use this product DB context as the key. And let's get back to our app settings.json file. Now you have this app settings.json as well as app settings.development.json. But if you just add the connection string to app settings.json, which is now the active tab, which is what I have opened, then it will create the connection string that will be valid depending upon the environment. And the environment is development environment, so I don't need to create it again on the app settings.development.json. Creating the connection string, adding the connection string to app settings.json will be enough. And if I change the development environment to staging or production, it will automatically adjust it. Look into the connection string, it will find the connection string from the app settings.json file. All right, so let's write okay. So it is automatically prompting me to write the connection strings. Okay, so see, it has created a connection string. Now I will need to change it because it is not default connection. It is product DB context that we got from here. Just copy it again. So product DB context, and I will uncomment this part. Close the bracket here, curly braces, and this is missing a comma, so I'll put a comma after the object member. Now by default it has set a database name ASP.NET Web Application 1 and dash so on and so forth, which is very ugly, so I need to change it to a different, more user-friendly name of my choice. So let's give it a name product database. So now this connection string will be used in our next step, that will be the migration process, which will create a database with the name product database with a products table. So this is again, I have taken help with the GitHub Copilot, but you can always write this code manually from your previous experience, or you can look for the code, which is you can find the snippet from internet, and it is a very helpful tool. It actually saves a lot of time typing. The common its autocomplete feature is great, but sometimes you need to change, like what I have changed here in front of you with the product DB context for the default connection and the database name. All right, so thank you. Now, after doing all the plumbing in the previous few lectures, like creating the model class and then creating the product DB context and registering the product DB context as a service in the program class, and finally creating this connection string with the key that was created in the to register the product DB context in the app settings.json to create the connection string. We are ready to perform migration, and migrations are the final step to create a Microsoft SQL database. So let's flip over to Visual Studio again. And for migration, I will use the package manager console, which is accessible from tools and NuGet package manager, and then package manager console. And here I will clear the earlier stuff. So it is all cleared, and then I will use, these are some of the commands that I have issued earlier. So add migration, finally we'll create a migration with the name create database. So this migration is applied, migration folders is created. Now that the migrations has been applied successfully and these two files have been created, so let's understand these two files one by one. And first is the product DB context model snapshot. So here, this code snippet, it represents a snapshot of the model of the product DB context class in entity framework. So DB context attribute is, it specifies that this model snapshot corresponds to the product DB context class, type of product DB context. Okay, and build model, this build model method, it overrides the build model method of the model snapshot base class, and it's responsible for defining the database schema based on the entity types and their configurations. And then model configuration. So inside this build model method, the model builder parameter is used to configure the entities and their properties. And here is what each line does. I will come to this pragma, so this later. And this has annotation, specifies annotations for the model such as product version and the maximum identifier length, and use identity columns. Use identity columns configures the model to use identity columns for generating primary key values. Entity is the table, configures the product entity. Okay, and property. So property configures the properties of the product entity, including the data types and constraints. And has key. Has key, where is the has key? So has key ID, it specifies the primary key of the product entity, and similarly has column type, this is the data type. All of these are data type for the individual fields or columns. And to table, it specifies the table name for the product entity, which is products. Okay, and the pragma directives. So these pragma directives are used to suppress specific compiler warnings related to the deprecated APIs. Now this file, this is the probably the timestamp underscore create database. That was the name of the migration that I used. This creates two methods, up and down method. So, and it actually uses the migration as the base class, and the up method, it takes the migration builder object and it creates the table, whereas the down, it drops the table, and the name of the table is product. So in the create table, it actually calls the migration builder objects create table method, and it adds the name products, and it creates all the columns as new ID. ID is the of type int, nullable is false because this is a primary key, and this is the annotation for SQL Server identity 1 1. So auto increment and start with 1 and seed it with increment with 1. Okay, and name other 3 columns here for this product model: name, manufacturer, and price. And the data type of these 3 fields or columns is string, and type is nvarchar max, nullable false. That's all of them are nullable false. They are not nullable. Okay, so this gives the description of the other 3 columns. And if there is any constraint, here it is the primary key, the PK products, which is the ID field, and this is to drop the table. Okay, we are still one stage away. That is, the last stage is to update the database with the update database command. Okay, and if everything is fine, it will create the database. So this is creating all the queries and done. Okay, now let's see the database. SQL Server Object Explorer, SQL Server. So this is the Object Explorer for SQL Server and databases, and see, product database is already created with the requisite table, dbo.product table with the schema. These are the columns: ID, name, manufacturer, and price, with ID being the primary key and not null. And you can see that there is, if there is any data or not. So click on view data. It is not there. There is no data at the moment. It's an empty table in the database. So thank you very much, and that's the end of this lecture. And we have been able to successfully perform the migration to create the database. In this lecture, we will delete and recreate the index.cshtml file using Entity Framework Core to list all the products. Now, currently, if you look into the Visual Studio, if you hit the run button, the green button, the home page is nothing but a welcome page with no data. Okay, so we'll rebuild this home page or index page after deleting this to recreate it with the CRUD, this Entity Framework Core template, so that we can make it useful to list all the products. All right. So what we will do, we will delete the default index.cshtml page. Delete it. It will delete both the code behind file and the cshtml file. All right, and then we'll right click on the pages folder, add razor page, and you have got a couple of 3 options: empty, using entity framework, and entity framework CRUD. So this is the most useful, I guess, because I don't need to write an empty page from scratch and show you by writing all the details which are not needed. These days, this is a less code, less is better, because most of the code is either generated through scaffolding or through some templates or even through AI that I have shown you earlier. Okay, so click on add. So this will be a razor page name. I'll still name it index, although I have the liberty to give any name, say home page or whatever. And then the template is important. Here it is a list template. Okay, create, detail, delete, create, delete, details, and edit, but it is a list because it is supposed to list all the products. So this is the product model, and this is only database context class is product DB context, and click on add, and just keep all the other default values as I have kept, and updating dependency information. So generating the code, you can see. Now the index page is added to you, which is actually deriving from the base class page model class, and its template code is generated. So this is the DI in the DI context, it has used the product DB context. So Razor product app dot data dot product DB context, and then it has initialized IList type of product, and then it generates a asynchronous method on get async. So await on context dot product dot to list async. So a bit about this default and exclamation mark. So this default expression is used to indicate that the property product, okay, of type IList of product is initialized with the default value for its type, and it cannot be null. This exclamation operator is a null forgiving operator, which tells the compilers to suppress nullability warnings for that expression. Now this product property is initialized with the default value for IList product, which is null since IList is a reference type. However, the exclamation operator indicates that this property cannot be null, hence the compiler will not raise the nullability warnings for it. In essence, this line ensures that the product is initialized and cannot be null, but it's initially set to null. And let's see a bit of the CSHTML file generated. So this is within a table class of table CSS style class table. It is generating all the table headers and product 0.name, product 0.manufacturer, and product 0.price. So the 0th index of product dot price, and then it is in a for each loop. It displays this model. So in model dot product, within this product model, so it displays the items name, items manufacturer, and items price, and this is edit details and delete. So that's all. If you run this application, it will not show you anything, but it will show you the table headers. Okay, and if I click on create new, nothing will show because the create page is not delivered so far, but we'll come back and it will list all the products. If I quickly write something onto the database, it will show that value, and I will come back in a second after I have done that. So I have created an insert query. And let's run this query to update the database. So run this query, 5 rows affected. Right, now let us run this application once more. And here you can see all the record that is inserted. So this is nicely listed in the index method. So this query inserts 5 rows into the products table. Each row represents a product with its name, manufacturer, and price. Now if you quickly look into the database table, you should be able to find the data, view data. So all the data that I have pushed into the products table and the database is there inside this database, inside the products table. Welcome back. So today we'll be taking the second part of build a Razor Pages CRUD web app, and in this part I'll be providing all the remaining CRUD functionalities of details, create, update, and delete. So we'll carry over from the part 2 where we have listed all of the products in an asynchronous operation. So I will put it in the details in the part 1, and please review the part 1 before coming to part 2, which will help you understand the full context of the project. So over to the lecture today. Welcome again, and in this lecture we'll add a details page to display the details of a product and the list of products we have already displayed in the previous lecture. Alrighty. So let's flip over to Visual Studio. So now we have left this project over here where we are able to display a list of all the products like this. So this was the list of products, okay, with edit details and delete navigation links. So at the moment all these links are there, but they are not functional. Okay, nothing will happen. So we'll we'll activate this link by giving a details page. So we'll stop the application, and what we will do is right click on the pages folder, click on add and Razor page, and Razor page again using entity framework, and click on add, and I will name it a details or details page, you can write, and the template to select will be details. You can write details page. And the model class is the only model class that we are using is the product model and this product DB context, and click on add. Okay, now you can see the details page is already added for me, and this is the details page, the CSHTML file, and let's inspect the code. All right, and let's first run this application and see the details page in action. This is in the routing details page, and if you run the application, click on details. Now it gets to the details page, and you can see edit and back to list. So if you click on edit, you can edit the product, but that will come in the next lecture. So, and this will take you back to the list because the index page is active. Index page is now already in action, as well as the details page. All right. So what I will suggest is that, rather than putting details page over here, you just keep it as it is, details. All right. But here /details page you need to write because that is the routing. All right. So now let's jump over to understand the details page model, the code behind file, and the CSHTML file. So here a context object has been DI dependency injected to the details page model constructor, and a product public property has been created with a default value of null, but this default with a exclamation mark has been explained already. So this actually suppresses the warning that it cannot be a null value, but so although it is non-nullable, but it is it suppresses the warning, okay, even if it is null. So on get async, what it accepts an integer ID which is nullable, which is actually it should be non-nullable. All right, yeah, anyway, it is automatically created by the entity framework. So anyway, so if null check is done here, if ID equals null, so return not found, and otherwise the product is found by this lambda expression on the context object, context.products.first or default async m goes to m.id equals this supplied ID in the argument. So the var, if the product is still null out of this assignment, it again returns not found, else the product, this public property is given this value of this product which has been written out of this expression, and then you get the page back through the details page.cshtml file. So coming back to the details page model in the CSHTML, the markup file, let's understand this part of the markup. Right, so I will try to explain everything in detail, okay, item by item. Now DL class row, this sets up a definition list with the bootstrap class row, which is used for grid layout. And DT class column SM2, it represents a definition term or a label with a column width of 2 in the bootstrap's grid system. It is typically used to display the label for a specific property of the product. Alright, and then HTML.display for model goes to model.product.name. This is the Razor syntax for generating the display name for the name property of the product model. It's usually used to display the label associated with a property. And then DD class call SM10. And before that, this is display for also, this line is also there. So this Razor syntax generates the display value for the, this was the name of the property for the property name, and this is the display value. This is the display value for the name property of the product model. It's used to display the actual value of the property. Okay, and DD class call SM10. This represents a definition description with a column width of 10 in Bootstrap's grid system. It's used to display the value of a specific property of the product. So, in summary, this markup creates a structured layout where each product detail such as name, manufacturer and price is displayed in a 2-column grid layout with labels on the left using DT and values on the right using DD. So that's about it. Hello and welcome everyone. In this lecture, we will show how to add a create Razor page to add a product or products. So flipping over to Visual Studio, this is my Razor product app so far. So we have seen the details page, how it details a particular item. Now we'll click on the pages model again to add a Razor page, which will be again using entity framework, because as I have previously stressed that using this template is the most versatile way of creating a Razor page. Although you can use the Razor page empty, but you have to write all the code which is unnecessary, because if you use entity framework, it will write all the code for you, and that is, you won't need any changes at all. So as you know that these days the trend is to go for less code as possible, and try to generate the code from even with the help of AI like ChatGPT or GitHub Copilot, as I have introduced GitHub Copilot earlier. So you'll go for this entity framework, and this is the Razor page for create. So I will name it create page, keeping in the convention of naming them as details page. Now this is a create page, and template is of course create, and model class is again product model, and the database context class is the same. Click on add, and it will do this, all the scaffolding for you to create a create page. Okay, so you can add the new product. So now if you run the application, and before running the application, you must change this link to ASP page create page, because I am naming it create page. Okay, create new, and then you are able to run it. This part of the code, HTML.render partial async, is a method in ASP.NET Core Razor pages that asynchronously renders the specified partial view, that is the validation scripts partial. Now here is a breakdown of its components. HTML is a property of the Razor view that provides access to HTML helper methods for rendering HTML content, and render partial async method is used to render a partial view asynchronously. A partial view is a reusable chunk of Razor markup that can be included in multiple views. And validation scripts partial, this is the name of that partial view to be rendered. In this case, it is likely contains scripts necessary for client-side validation, such as those for jQuery validation in ASP.NET Core applications. Now I have run the application, and you can see the create new page is there, and if you click on create new page, it gives you a form with the name, manufacturer and price. And if you click on anything, any product with the manufacturers or whatever, add that, give it a price, and that will be created. Okay, and you are able to get the details of this, and you can get back to the list. And in next lecture we'll actually go for being incorporating the ability to update the product. Okay, now in this lecture we'll add an edit Razor page to update an existing product. So let's get back to Visual Studio. And on the right clicking the pages, and then add again a Razor page. And here I would like to say that if you use the Razor pages using Entity Framework, CRUD, this will create all the pages, create, retrieve, update, delete, as well as details page in one shot. So you don't have to repeat the process again and again. But I chose Razor page using Entity Framework because I needed to explain the code for each and every page in detail. So if I had chosen this template of generating the entire CRUD in one go, then it would have been a big lecture, or otherwise I had to come back and create lectures for each of these operations separately. All right, so there is a reason choosing this template. Now click on add. This is now appropriately named as edit page, and it will be edit template. Click on add. Now the edit page is created for me. Edit.cshtml.cs, the code behind file for the edit layout page is this one, and it's the very familiar code again, like a create page model. This is a dependency injection of the product DB context object to the constructor, and then we are binding the property of which is named as product of type product with a default value, and on get async by passing the ID. If the ID is null, return not found. Again, the product is got through this lambda expression, await context.product.first or default async. M goes to m.id equals id, and if product is null, return not found, and otherwise product is given this value, and then return page. That is the get async. And on post async, you are asynchronously getting the page where you want to make the change. And once you have made the changes, then this part is, if the model state is not valid, then it will return the page. Otherwise, it will bring in this new code snippet, context.attach product.state entity state.modified. Instead of it has got an enum value which is now telling it is modified. This entity is being tracked by the context and exists in database. It is modified, is got a value 3, entity state.modified. Okay, so if you like to see unchanged, deleted, modified, added. So enum entity state. So value 3 is this one is modified. All right, and then redirect it to the index page, and product exists. So this product exists is it is a method and it returns a boolean and it takes the ID. So it returns the boolean value of this expression context.product.any. If it is existing, then if it doesn't exist, then it returns not found, else throw. This is actually in the catch block. Okay. DB update concurrency exception. This exception is thrown when the concurrency violation is encountered while saving to the database, and concurrency violation occurs when an unexpected number of rows are affected during the save. Okay. Now the edit page.cshtml is very similar to the create page. It is a form is created, method post, and again the ASP validation summary is called into place, and input type hidden is which has got a ASP for attribute as product.id. Okay, so and again in a div which is got a class of form group, you've got label for the product name and input. This is text box for some product name, and this is span for ASP validation, and similarly for the other properties of the product model, manufacturer as well as price. It is similar type of div elements are formed. And finally a submit button which has got a value of save or type submit. When you click on the save button, it will be saved after changing the particular item, after editing a particular item or updating a particular item, and then it will by clicking back to the list, it will take it to the index. And then this is the same thing that we have explained in the previous lecture for the create page. It renders, it calls the validation script partial, and it renders it the partial view. Okay, in this context, if you look into this mouse over, it says in this context render means the method writes its output using view context.writer. So render partial async renders HTML markup for the specified partial view. So that's about it. Now let us see this in operation. So if I want to edit any product, I need to change this to actually in my index.cshtml page, I need to make it edit page again. And then click the hot reload button. And then edit. You can write the product as, just change any of these items and it will be changed. Okay. So now all we have to do to complete the CRUD operation is to add a delete razor page to delete an existing product with a particular ID. So let's flip over to Visual Studio and right click pages, add razor page using entity framework, click on add. With the delete template, delete page, and same model class of product and the product DB context, and click on add. So here is the delete page model, and what is notable here is to get async with passing a integer ID, nullable integer ID. If ID equals null, return not found, otherwise find the product with this expression, a very familiar expression we used earlier a couple of times. If the product is still null, return not found, else product equals product. And then on post async, when you want to click a particular item to delete it, then it will call if the product is not null, following this expression of finding the product asynchronously by passing the ID. If it is not null, then that product, the product which you have set over there in the public property, that will be equated, assigned to this product value, which you have found with the calling the find async method and passing the ID, and then you call the built-in remove method and passing the product to remove it, and then asynchronously you save the changes to the context and then return to the index page, redirect to the index page. And then delete page, it's a simple CSHTML file is also quite simple. In the delete page, you are being prompted, are you sure you want to delete this? And if you say yes, then if you click on delete, what it does, it will call this code behind file to remove that particular item. And otherwise the form is formed very similar manner to earlier case. It's not a form, it is basically display name for product models name property, and for the manufacturer and the price properties, and name as well as the values of these properties. All right, and there is a form being called with the post method, and product ID is stored in a hidden input type, and then you call the submit button with the value of delete and a class of button danger, and on clicking the delete button it will be deleted, following the code in the code behind file. And let's see, everything is in action. Everything in action to delete a product. So bringing it here on this side of the screen, if you click on delete, again the same thing needed to be changed. Just on the index page you make it delete page. The navigation link is delete page. Save it, click on hot reload, it will allow you to make the changes online, and click on delete. Yes, this product name, manufacturer, price, if you want to delete, click on delete, and then it is deleted. If you want to delete this item, this will be also deleted. That's it. Welcome again. So in this lecture, this is the last lecture associated with the building of the Razor Pages CRUD web app, and we will be adding the search, sort and filter and pagination properties, pagination features to the applications. So before I show you the search and filter and sort and pagination, here is a condensed talk about what it does. Search and filter quickly finds specific products based on criteria like name or manufacturer, and in sorting it arranges the products in a specified order like ascending or descending by price. And pagination manages large data sets by dividing products into pages, making navigation easier and faster. So these features enhance user experience by providing efficient ways to search, organize and navigate through product listings, improving usability and satisfaction. So here is a finished product, so I will just show you all these three features in a finished application that we are going to build. So you can see in this application product list, you have got a search free text for search text box, and you can click by searching, clicking the search. So if you click on anything like JB for instance arbitrarily, so if you click the search button, it will come up with all the search result with JB as one of the keywords. All right, so And for sorting, if you actually refresh the page, and if you click on any of these three headers, name, manufacturer, price, and these headers are actually they have come from the product model. So if you click by name, so before clicking the header, it is arranged in the default order, which is the ascending order. So you can see that this is all in ascending order, and so are these two headers. Okay, now if you click on name, so it is now sorted by descending order. From ascending to it has become descending order. And for manufacturer, this is, if you click the manufacturer, it is in the ascending order at the moment. Now this is in the descending order. For price, this is whatever order it is. If you click on this, so this is in the ascending order. Now this is in the descending order. And if you click on the next, this is the whatever page it is. Yeah, let's see. This is the next page. Let's see the first page. This is the first page, and this is the last page. And there is no next page because there are only two pages. So that is because the result set is very small. Only 6 results are there, and each page actually caters to 3 record sets. Now let's introduction being over and the functionality check has been taken care of and verified, and let's go back to our application and start building the application so that it actually has these capabilities. So this is my application where we left actually. Now in order to do this these 3 features, we'll have to modify the index page. So let's only keep the index page and close all other tabs. So close all but this. And now let me actually also bring the code here, side by side windows. Now all I have to do is to modify the code behind file and then the CS/HTML file. So the CS file, I'll have to now do some coding, and for this part, this is fine, and then I'll have to give some pagination parameters. So like page size, page number, and total pages. Okay, so automatically it is suggesting me and I accept it. Page number, get set 1, total pages, total records, total display records. I don't want this. So page size, page number, total pages, and there is one public bool has previous page and has next page. Now if the page number is greater than 1, it has got a previous page, because if it is greater than 1, like 2, 3, 4, it has got a previous page, unless it is got to the page number 1, in which case there is no previous page. It has next page. If the page number is less than total pages, then it has always the next page. So these are the parameters. Now let's continue writing the code, and then there will be a bind property attribute here. And supports get true on this search string, which is a string with public accessibility. Now this is the search string will be used for searching the product, and we'll come to that later. But what is the use of this bind property? Why we write it here? The bind property supports get is true. This attribute in ASP.NET Core is used to bind properties from query string parameters in a GET request to the corresponding model properties. So in this specific context, it allows the search string property to be bound to the value of a query string parameter named search string. Now in this case it's necessary because it enables the model binding mechanism to automatically populate the search string property with the value provided in the query string when the page is requested via a GET request. Alright, so actually if it is not done, this line of code is not there, then it is difficult because you will need additional manual passing of the query string parameters in the controller or page handler method to achieve the same result, which this bind property supports get equals to does. Alright, then let's write the list of products. So private list, or you can make it public to give it full accessibility within this project. From outside, public ilist product gets a default. Okay, and then this is an additional line. It was already there. Okay, so now we'll have to write the onGet method. We'll have to change this method. Okay, onGet async. Just a little bit indenting. Now on get async, I'll have to actually give two arguments to this method, async method. I hope it makes sense. The page number has to be, there is a default value for the page number as well as the string sort order I am giving. Alrighty, so let's at the moment just comment it out, and then we'll have to apply search filter, sorting and pagination of the products. So for that I need a iQueryable object, actually iQueryable products. Either you write this is a link expression, it has already been created for me by AI, from p in context dot product select p, or you can write straight away if you want to go without any complexity, just write underscore context dot products. All right, and then this is not acceptable at the moment, so I will not accept this, but I will write a code which will make sense later. So view data name sort param, or I can just simplify it, view data of name sort. Now this view data will actually help the transfer of data from the HTML, CSHTML markup to code behind file. Okay, so view data string so this one, view data name sort equal to sort order, and if the sort order is name async, name underscore ascending, then it will become descending. Otherwise, if it is descending, then it is name ascending, because it will just toggle. View data name sort will toggle from the ascending to descending, and similarly now let's make it products query to actually give it a meaningful context. So products query is context dot products. All right, so after creating this view data, let me first put this close bracket because it is going to be a big method, actually quite expanding method. So first of all, now this 3 lines of code will be clear once I modify this CSHTML file. Okay, so till that time, please bear with me. Now first we'll have to apply the search filter. So if not string dot is null or empty search string, then products query, on the products query, which is the iQueryable objects. So where expression is written, and this is a lambda expression, p goes to p dot name dot contains the search string, or p dot manufacturer dot contains search string. All right, not with product, because in this is these are strings. And why is this red line? Parenthesis can be removed. It is suggesting me. So let's indent it properly so that it is not written on one line and it becomes too big for you to scroll horizontally. So p goes to p dot name dot contains search string, or let it put the break and put it into the next line. So what happens, this is I think quite clear. So products query, it's selected through the search string, either the product's name or the product's manufacturer contains this search string, then that is filled in the product query. Product query is assigned the value of product query, so you can see that this is already filtered. All right, and then we'll apply the sorting. So I have accepted this, piece of code, snippet of code for apply sorting, but I'll need to make some changes, case name descending, but I need to also keep the name ascending as well, because okay, if you should have the ability to toggle between ascending and descending by clicking the headings, then you should have both the cases, So write this part, copy and paste, and name, make it ascending. So for ascending, products query dot just order by, and if it is descending, then products query dot call order by descending. And similarly for manufacturer ascending, product dot order by, and for manufacturer descending, product query dot order by descending. Okay, and for price, now these 2 lines, other lines are all written correctly, I would think, and then default is if none of these cases are matching, then it will be ordering by ascending order for the name property of the product model. Okay. Now, although I have actually disabled the GitHub Copilot, but it's keeping on prompting me to with the code auto completion, because just quickly if I show you manage extensions and installed, see, this is already disabled, so I can enable it, but I don't want to enable. But AI is also quite strong, so it supports a lot of code by the Visual Studio built-in AI feature. So total pages, it is giving me math.ceilingProductQuery.count double page size. That's fine, but it's not complete. So page number, that's also fine. Products query dot skip page number -1 into page size dot take page size. Now here it is important to understand this line of code, because that is the crux of the things for the pagination. Alright, so let's break it down. Now this products query we have initialized earlier above. So that is the variable represents the query that retrieves the products from the database, and it is an iQueryable of product type, meaning it represents a query that can be further modified before execution. That's important to know. Okay, so products query, just a quick look into where it was initialized. Yeah, it was an iQueryable of products query, which is context to the DB context dot products. So it is actually giving the actual number of products in the DB context, where it is product DB context. Now coming back to this line again, so this part products query dot skip page number -1 into page size. This method or this algorithm, you can say, skips a specified number of elements in the query result. Okay, it calculates the number of items to skip based on the current page number, that is the page number, and the page size. For example, if the page number is 1 and the page size is 10, so if it is page number is 1 and page size is 10, the 1 minus 1 is 0, so it does not skip any items. And if the page number is 2, it skips 10 items. So 2 minus 1, that is 1 into page size 10. So that means 10 items per page into one page. So if there is page size is 10, it skips 10 items for each page, and then it takes page size. That this method retrieves a specified number of elements from the query result after skipping the specified number of items. Okay, so this one skips and this one takes. It retrieves items equal to the page size. For example, if the page size is 10, it retrieves 10 items from the query result. Okay, so it also says on the mouse over, returns a specified number of contiguous elements from the start of a sequence. So together these, and then finally the products is listed and assigned to this iList of product. Okay, and these methods allow for paginating the query result by skipping the appropriate number of items based on the current page number and taking a fixed number of items equal to the page size. It ensures that each page of the product list contains the desired number of products. That's it. That's fine. And there is the last line is product await products query dot to list async. Okay, that's fine. Everything has been taken care of by AI. It's very brilliant, smart piece. All right, so this part is, I believe it is over. So let's build this project, but it's far from over because I have to change the CSHTML part also. So just build the solution. Build succeeded. So now I'll have to come back to the CSHTML part and change it, the bits that is important. Okay, so for that to happen, I need to write create a form for the search. Okay, so let's get going. This index model is correct, and let me write it index or products. Just change the context so that it is easily understood that it's a products list or product, something to do with product. So product list. Okay, now this product list is there, and now we will keep it here. Create new should be there for creating a new page, but I have to make a form. Form method get. Okay, so it has also auto completed it. So input type equals text, and placeholder name equals search string, value model dot search string, class form control, all right, ASP for search string. So placeholder, actually I'll make it a placeholder. Placeholder is search string. ASP for search string. And button type submit, class button primary, search. Okay, so this form is taken care of. And what is this ASP for? ASP for equals search string. That means this search string will be evaluated against the current model. And what is the model? Index model. Because we have written that search string parameter is already there. Search string public property is already there, so it has to match this search string. Okay, so any typo will not allow you to do the required things. Now next part is that I need to change the table completely. So let's get rid of this table. And welcome back everyone, Kaushik here, and today we are diving into something super exciting, creating a Razor Pages CRUD application within just 90 minutes. And that too will the complete CRUD application with and then Microsoft SQL database as well as sorting, search and pagination features in full flow. Explain in a bit. Whether you are new to coding or looking to sharpen your skills, this video is packed with everything that you're looking for and that you need to know step by step. But before we jump in, let me tell you why this is so powerful. To master a CRUD operation is a fundamental skill that opens doors to endless possibilities. So in web development, and by the end of this session, you will not only understand the concepts but also have a working application to show for it, and which is full, complete in itself. Now stick around because I've got some insider tips and tricks that you won't find in textbooks or in any other tutorial. Plus, there is a bonus at the end. I'll be sharing the full source code on GitHub free of cost. Absolutely free. Yes, it is. Because it is a public repository that I will share with you. And this way you can follow along and tinker the code. What it does is tinker the code and take your project to the next level. Trust me. You don't want to miss this. So are you ready to elevate your coding game? Let's get started and make something amazing together. And I have divided this big tutorial into 3 parts. And in the first part, in this case, it is the current doing the CRUD application. You start the CRUD application and stop after listing, after getting, retrieving all the products from database. And in the next part, sort order completed the CRUD functionalities, and in the last part, code behind file, in the code most sought after, I will be view data of name sort equals putting sort order, pagination, sort, search and filtration functionalities all together. So you are in
passed
for
by
a very exciting moment
clicking the hyperlink
of 1.5 hours.
CSHTML
Stay
file.
put for the
So
entire duration.
this code
Get
generates
your
a clickable column with the
beverage,
static
favorite
variable
beverage, or a
that
cup
sends a
of
request
coffee
back to the
in,
index
and
page with the appropriate sorting
just
parameter.
focus on this tutorial.
All right.
Thank you. You won't
And this
repent.
part is pretty easy. For each loop, you are in a table cell within a table row. You are writing down the product's name, manufacturer, and price dot to string. And finally, I have to write all the parameters to create the pagination links. So this part is over with this code. So you can understand the these variables. What do they do? Variable previous page equals model dot page number -1. That is the previous page, and the next page is page number +1 at model dot page number +1. And if the model has previous page, so has previous page, model dot has previous page. If you look into the definition where it was defined, has previous page, okay, in the CS file that we have already reviewed, if the page number is greater than 1, it has got previous page, and if the number of pages, page number is less than the total pages, then it has got next page. So coming back to the CSHTML file, it has got previous page, then this will be the hyperlink. It will be telling the route page number equals 1, and it will be written first page. The link is named first page, and if the model dot page number -1, then previous. So this is the logic, or this is the algorithm for previous page, model dot page number -1. So if it is on the page 5, the previous page is 4. Okay. And for var I equals 1, I less than equals model dot total pages. For total pages, it is iterating route page number. So this page number, it will be given this value through this for loop. Okay. So for each of these iterations till it is less than or equal to the total pages. So say if the total pages are 10, it is incremented. This value will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be written like we have seen before. And if it is next page, then the next link will be model dot page number +1. This will be the evaluation of this value. So if the page number, current page number is 6 and the number of pages is 10, so next will be page number 7, and then this is the total number of pages, is the last pages. Okay. So after having done everything, I hope this part is very clear, and let's run this application for the final go at it. So there was an error here. So product is a type but used like a variable. So it was actually this products, all right. And then if you again build the application or run the application, so search string JB, click on search, doesn't bring anything. Okay, that's interesting. So now there is no entry with JV. So if I search for PB, it brought me this one, and then again refresh this application. Then the next page is this, and first page is this, the last page is this one. And if you click on the first page, click on this name header, it will make it descending from ascending. Okay. And then manufacturer, if you click on manufacturer, at the moment it is nothing, but now it is arranged in an ascending order. Now it is in descending order. Similarly for the price. Okay, so that's a lot to take for this one lecture. Hope you have been able to understand. So give me a buzz if there is anything that needs to be explained further.